Welcome back, folks. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox. For the first portion of the show, we had zoomed out to Seattle, Washington to talk to Ted Poor, drummer extraordinaire. He released this album with my next guest on Impulse earlier in the year. And as they were planning their release shows and all that great fun, COVID hit and put a halt to everything. So now we're zooming back to Brooklyn, New York to bring on the other half of this album. Before I introduce my guest, I want to once again share the message of the week because I'm not sure he heard it at the beginning. Again, an Aldous Huxley quote: "After the silence, that which comes nearest to expressing the inexpressible is music." One of the best compliments I ever heard about this next guest, and it's like one of the highest you can ever have, was from another really well-known musician. He said, "That guy's crazy, but he's played the best sax solo I've ever heard in my life." With that, I would like to introduce Andrew D'Angelo to the show. Andrew, how are you?
I'm not sure after that statement, but who said I was crazy?
Can you guess who said it?
I mean, it could have been Ted. I don't know. Or
wasn't Ted? No.
Josh Roseman.
Somebody closer to home.
Chris Speed. Jim Black.
You almost got it.
Kurt?
Lightcap.
Oh, Chris Lightcap. Lighty. All right, that's cool. That's totally cool.
That's cool.
we call him Lighty because he's really not that lighthearted. So he's a pretty serious dude.
He's a pretty serious dude.
But a good dude.
But a good dude.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great, man. You got a great mic. You got a nice setup there, man. You look legit. That's like better than Joe Rogan.
Yeah, and I started setting up last night, man, because I got this new rig and this new thing going on. And then, thank you. And then, like, as I was trying to watch your segment with Ted, I had this, like, Explicit Emergency with the big band record situation. And so I've actually been on the phone and texting people for the last hour. And I was like, I have to go, everybody. I have to do this interview with Jeremiah. So
super famous show. I gotta go, guys.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny that it all happened like right before I'm talking to you. It's just very interesting.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
It's interesting about that Huxley quote, which I'm sorry I missed the first half because like I said, I've been busy.
It's all good. It's all good.
But because I wished I knew what I knew now before Ted and I made that record. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. And I would have played differently. And I don't know what Ted said about the record, so if I'm repeating stuff, you can just cut me off. But I mean, spending 2 years making a record is an absolute pleasure. You don't often get that luxury of.
Yeah.
And what's his name from Spotify just said, you can't take 3 years to put out a new record. You have to put what, right? And we don't have to start bashing Spotify, but I mean, there is something to be said for taking your time and like letting the music, marinate or simmer, whatever analogy you want to use. And then you get this like product, whatever you want to call it, like this sculpture. I've been sculpting a lot during COVID. So that's my new analogy. And yeah, I mean, it was so neat. I mean, I can listen to that record and not cringe. I don't know if you ever listen to your music, and you're like,
yeah. And it's interesting that you said that because, my second self-produced album has taken 10 years and I'm still not done. So it's cool,
there
right?
You go. That's totally cool.
And like, yeah, often, I mean, it's funny when you record, right? All the things that went wrong and it's hard to like hone in on the good, especially when it's a recording, you have this like digital stamp. It's like, it's out there like, shit, I can't take that back. But like, how many people actually hear? Or what's really interesting, because I've talked to guys that recorded albums that I just adore, and they're like, oh man, it was that one time where I fucked that thing up, and I was like, that one thing, like I thought that was one of the highlights of the album, and they were like, yeah, no. He was like, I dropped my fucking stick, and like, like all this stuff you can't see, and I'm like, man, I've been trying to cop that beat for years. Like, you mean I just had to drop the stick the whole time? And I'm like, dude, this is fantastic. What was he doing? I don't understand, So once I heard that, I was kind of like, okay, it kind of doesn't matter. Because nobody's gonna, no two sets of eyes see the same thing. No two sets of ears hear the same thing. Maybe one of my past instructors would listen and be like, you should have done more paradiddles, dude. But otherwise, like,
Right.
oh,
No, I mean, there's a Human Feel record. I think it was Scatter and whatever record it was with Human Feel. And during the take, my headphones, I unplugged them by mistake. You know, and so I couldn't hear anybody but Chris Speed, because anyway, we were in together, you know, I could hear him. But so I was just kind of winging it. And like today, like I said, I don't remember the record. I don't remember the track, but I remember my headphones going out and I was wondering, should I stop the band? And the fuck if anybody's ever said, well, Andrew sounds like, well, Lighty calls me crazy, but that's a totally different thing. But I know with the duo record with Ted, it's like everything, it was so meticulous, right? If that would have happened with Ted, I think both of us would have stopped and said, let's go back and do it again. Because it was well thought out, but not overly intellectual. But, you know, there was a lot of detail put into that record. And so that's one I can put on. And if there is a quote unquote mistake, or I can't remember what you said happened. Oh, somebody dropped a stick. It was intentional to leave it that way. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Sure. Absolutely.
And I got to tell you, man, you know, I don't know about you, but these days, I mean, there's so much music and there's so much saturation, and people are recording a lot of stuff at home, and people just aren't noticing stuff in general. You know,
there's a lot out there. I mean, a lot of people, because they're stuck at home, like the volume has been pretty intense, I'd say, over the last 6 months, where, you know, you were saying you and Ted took 2 years. I think people are like kicking stuff out overnight right now. Like right. Production level has not been the utmost importance. People are just like hitting volume. People, I think in a way, people are just, part of it was a panic response. Same way people bought toilet paper and alcohol. It was just like, I gotta right. play, I gotta record, I gotta,
right.
almost in a way, like I gotta prove that I'm still relevant, which I appreciate, I think was important. It seems like it's simmered down a little bit, but around May, I was like, if I have to hear another freaking home Zoom recording, you know?
I mean, I don't know, like, you know, the release date for the duo record being, it was the end of January, if I remember correctly. And then, you know, Corona Bona happened, right? And the reason I put out my big band record in July is I was talking to Bill McHenry, the tenor saxophonist on the record. He sounds brilliant. He's like, man, people need something to celebrate. And the big band record is recorded well, it's mixed well, you can get it mastered, it's edited well. He goes, and just if people don't want to buy it, they'll listen on a streaming service. He goes, just put it out there, man. Yeah. Oh, you have the records in the background.
I do.
I just noticed I was too busy focusing on my new setup.
Well, I don't have like, you know, Della doesn't look bad, but you got like a nice setup. So I was like, let me decorate a little bit.
You're in Della right now?
Yeah, I am. If I do this at home, my kids are running through the room. It's just like a mess.
Yeah, but that can be cool too.
It can be cool. And I've done it, but like not today.
Look what I did. Mood. I learned, can you see my tea?
Yeah, you got a Moscow Mule mug.
But yeah, I got this great mug, but I learned this from you.
Oh yeah. Gotcha.
So you know what's in there, right?
No, what is in there?
Well, it's wine.
What's that?
Oh, it's wine.
Do you remember that? I know exactly what you're talking about.
Early on in the quarantine, you're like, got a Zoom call? I have a little trick for you. Yeah. Welcome to the juice box. And you put the tea thing on.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Pretty good, right?
It's funny. I've been on a tea kick lately, so I thought I was like, what did I
fooled you
about tea?
Fooled you.
You did. You fooled the teacher. Fooled the teacher. Good for you.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know about you, and not to get into politics, but like this whole thing with, you know who, and the Rona, and then the debates, and then I have a elderly neighbor that I take care of, and then I got this crazy news about the big band record. I don't know. It's just I haven't slept. So for me, it's like midnight at this point.
Like drinking time.
Well, I don't think a little wine's going to hurt me.
No.
But it's, what were we talking about?
So you mentioned this guy McHenry. Is his
Yeah, Bill
last name?
McHenry. Yeah.
So I have a really funny exchange with Lighty as well. We did a couple shows together. Like, I don't know, this was probably like 5 years ago, and in the text exchange, I was sending him some track names that we were gonna do, and just like have some fun with them, and he went to I don't know if he was like voicing it into his text thing, his text app, or typing it in, but he meant to say, I'm pretty familiar with most of those, and it came up, it just said, I'm pretty McHenry. I was just like, what it adjusted to? So I don't know if he like knows this guy and would text him. I was just like, that is so random. It was like, I Pretty McHenry know those tunes. And I was like, okay, Pretty McHenry, that is your official name. And like, if I see him driving down the street, I'll just like yell Pretty McHenry out to him. So I'm curious if he just like was also texting that guy's name so it showed up, because like the text, the voice automation thing kind of recognizes things you've said regularly or done regularly.
Okay. Well, first of all,
Pretty McHenry.
Lighty and Bill do know each other, Bill
Yeah.
McHenry. But the other thing that's funny is Bill has this thing, Bill McHenry, just so we keep it clear, where like if we fuck up a text or it spell checks it, we just leave it because we think it's kind of funny. So that's like doubly, like on several levels funny.
So hard.
Lighty didn't spell check it or whatever the heck you want. Or
he just sent it.
Yeah.
And it was almost like this proclamation, like, I, Pretty McHenry, know those things.
But I Pretty McHenry can be sorry, I have to do this.
Go for it.
Oh God.
God.
Yeah, it's just
we're almost done.
No. It's not about this. I could talk to you for hours. This other thing is just you remember when I came by the shop the other day?
Yeah.
And I was telling you what was going on, and then for whatever reason I was like, I should probably call my lawyer and just see what's cool and what's not cool to talk about. And she says, here's what's cool to talk about. Everybody who's listening to this, no matter when it is, get a fucking contract. Get a contract. And there are 3 types of contracts. There's contracts that you get that you agree to and are fine by you and you sign them. There's a contract where you don't ask for one and there you don't get one. So it's just a verbal contract, which may or may not hold up if something happens.
Right.
And is it weird with my one ear off? It's like a habit from the studio.
No,
and
you're good.
And then there's an abusive contract that you sign, but don't know that it's abusive because you didn't read it.
Yeah.
And I've done all those. And I think without saying anything like specific, I just want people, like somebody in my generation, you would think, well, that's just stupid. Like, why wouldn't a guy like going on 60 get a contract? Well, you know why? Because we're just super psyched, man, that somebody wants to put out our music, or now they're making a film about me and we're in contract negotiations, right? We're redlining and we're just making decisions. And so it's like, I can't emphasize it enough. You don't want to be in my position at my age, going through the things that I'm going through, where I really just want to make music, record it, and have people listen to it. That's really the bottom line over here. And what are you looking at over there?
I'm just getting prompts from the producer. We got to take a break. Okay. I got my laptop here, and it just.
I'm going to look over too, just so
There you go. Yeah. No, we are going to take a break. Hold that thought. We're going to be back in 60 seconds, and we'll pick right back up with that. All right. Stay tuned, everybody.
Peace.
Welcome back, everybody. Once again, it's the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox. We zoomed out to Seattle for the beginning of the show. Now we are back to Brooklyn, where we are currently still talking to very well-known saxophone artist Andrew D'Angelo. He was just talking at the end of the last segment about getting a contract, and you made me think about owning and running a restaurant and all the different services and things that we have going on here. And it's like, you just always do. And in music and in art, sometimes you don't. And it can bite you in the ass. Yeah.
Indeed. And it's funny because at first advertising was for employment law.
Yeah, I
And
had Eric on the show recently. It's so funny that you said that. And the first ad was him, and I was like, and he was talking about, in particular, during this time, like really, you have to document everything because the situation with employees and owners as well is really fragile because all the laws and all that stuff is being made up almost as
as we
Sorry,
go
I'm just
along.
signing an invoice and passing a check off, little business stuff.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
And he was just like, document everything because that's what's going to hold up in light of a contract. And I was like, so what would be what would be the best way to do that? And he was like, email is the best way. Like if you have an email thread with said recipient, service provider, whatever it is, distributor, like if you have it in email, that's going to be your best ally. He was like, text is okay. It's not bad because it's still timestamped, but like courts really value the email thread. So that's something you can do.
Yeah, one thing my entertainment lawyer told me was, he goes, don't forward me all of your emails from this situation.
Yeah.
He goes, screenshot them and I'll let you know if I want to see like full threads.
Yeah.
But he goes, the courts are allowing emails it's not just Judge Judy, but like actually like federal courts are allowing emails as documented proof of whatever, contractual agreements, that kind of thing. I don't know about text. I know like for Judge Judy, she'll look at a text, but I don't know if it's like just for TV or.
No, he said text is okay. Like if that's all you have, it can definitely make or break the situation, because it is time stamped. And that's what they're really looking for, like the chronology,
right,
of events and information and when people became aware of whatever situation, so that it can help. So those are both like good bits of advice. And then on the creative front, like you were saying, you've like put out this entire album during COVID and lockdown restrictions. What was that like? I mean, today aside, whatever's happening right now, just like actually getting everything together and putting it out.
It was, to be honest, even though it was a lot of work. What's a lot of work? We had to set up the Bandcamp page, and the cool part was like my mastering engineer had tons of free time, right? Because he's like, I can't go in my studio. And he mastered my record for a really great price because he's like, I love this music. And then
nice.
Boom, I put it on, I released it, and boom, within an hour, the Grammys contacted me and they said, we'd like to submit your recording for Grammy consideration. I was like, how the fuck does that happen? Like, how did that
happen?
No, I don't know, because you don't just like put out a record and then somebody sends you a message, and I thought this has got to be a bot, right? Like, so I respond to this person and she gets back to me like with the real response, not like a, what do you call it? The like AI.
Automated. Yeah.
And I was like, and we go back and forth a little bit, and she told me she'd send somebody my way who's a member of the Academy, and they contacted me and said, we're going to nominate you for category, 38. And I was like, what's, like, I actually didn't ask what's that, but I was like, okay. And thankfully,
like, cool.
Yeah,
that was in 39.
And finally, he sent me an email just on his own with the description: best large ensemble recording - jazz. Or maybe it's category 58. Anyway, some number. It was just fun. And I don't know. It's like, it was really hard mentally to put the record out because I had made it like back in 2011, not even like in 2011. And it was.
So you're on the 10-year plan too. Good.
Well, I didn't work on it for 10 years there, sweetheart.
Yeah. Well, no, I haven't either. I think the last time I did anything with this album was like, it was before we opened Della. It was like a solid like 6 years ago. And then, we opened 4 businesses, and I had another kid, and it was just like,
dude, you're a busy motherfucker. And let me just tell you something and I'm only cussing because you cuss first.
No, that's fine. I always like to open it up. I did one show like where I just came out of the gate and I was like, fuck shit ass balls. Just like
but let's be clear to anybody listening to this in the future or now. I did not work on my record for 10 years. There was some serious, get a contract, people, and make sure it's a contract that's agreeable to both parties. I'll just leave it at that, because it's like,
That's great.
The music, there was no question that the music was there, at least in my opinion. I mean, it's my record, it's my music. But I had just had 2 brain surgeries. I had been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. Everybody in the band was like, got together and said, don't worry about the money. We'll record for you. We want your music documented, because I still could have died. I mean, I was still within the 3-year period of my death sentence, which actually at first was 6 to 8 months. And then it said maybe 1.5 years. And then they said maybe 2 years. And then I made the big band record, and they said, all right, if you make it 3 years, we'll talk to you in 10 years.
They were like, you made a big band record. We'll give you more time.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, the record company said, too bad Andrew didn't die, because this record would be very valuable.
Oh, that's awful.
There's a little snippet of what I'm dealing with right here.
Yeah.
And people can be, I'm not being negative here. Well, let me be negative. People can be so gross and mean that it really blows my mind.
Yeah, and we've seen that, and the recent history has been like a mirror for the human race. We've seen good and we've seen bad, but we're gonna have to wrap it up. But that bit of advice, man, that was like banger. I just love it when someone gives like just that simple, just clear advice, like just get a contract. That's like really at the heart of the show, where like everybody walks with something like a takeaway action, and you delivered that today. It was really awesome. Where can people find out more information about you, your record, so on? You got 30 seconds to spit it.
I'm on Bandcamp as Andrew D'Angelo. You can also just Google Andrew DNA Orchestra, and my record should come up. It's Bandcamp Friday, man. Buy the record. Yeah.
All the money goes to the artist.
Right.
Doesn't happen often.
And we're donating all the profits to charity. And so it's just one of those things where I think we should buy people's records. So, and help support the artists.
Absolutely.
Anyway, thank you, Jeremiah.
Awesome.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We'll do it again. We'll do a full hour.
Okay, cool. I love it.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. And like he said, get a contract, support the arts, but also have some fun. All right. We'll check in with you next week. Take care. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web.